So, according to Mike Massey, when a woman hits the wall, that means that she has reached the point in her life where not only is her physical appearance beginning to deteriorate, but her fertility windows have all but closed, meaning that this woman is becoming an increasingly undesirable choice for a potential mate. This usually happens to women in their late 20s to mid 30s. And if the woman in question happens to be single, hitting the wall makes it increasingly more difficult for her to find a man to date or for marriage.
So I found that.
Who was the who wrote that?
Mike,
Who said
that
that?
Mike
Somebody didn't hear.
Nasty. Who
Mike
said that?
Massey.
Who said that? Who said
You
that?
guys, it's a popular thing on YouTube. We know, and we walk out in real life, it's just like, okay, but YouTube has its own set of rules.
Okay. So we're going to use that as the standard for this topic.
Yes.
So that's what we're going to talk about. We're just going to
Mhm.
talk about that, okay? Because I think it does have some legitimacy to it to a certain extent. You
That's right.
understand?
Agreed.
So, absolutely, we'll talk about it. If the guys think it's worth talking about because they keep bringing it up, then we're going to talk about it because it's a man's world.
No, yeah, we definitely want to talk about it. I think it's worth talking about.
Go ahead, Rashad. It seems like you want to have something to say.
No,
Go ahead.
I would like to hear because honestly, um, I'm a play second fiddle to this because we're actually talking about women hitting the wall, right? Because I believe both genders can hit a wall.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about both.
So right now the topic is women hitting the wall, and I want to hear from y'all perspective on what your own personal life too, but also broaden it up to how like what does that mean to you? Like how are you coming to grips with it? That's another thing, right?
So the way I wanted it to go is the girls, we can definitely speak on the men hitting the wall because we can say, okay, I agree with that. That's
Okay.
usually when a man loses his whatever. But we
Mhm.
wanted men to speak on the female
Yes.
hitting the wall.
Okay.
Um, and then we can put our 2 cents in on it
Oh,
because we can't tell a man how to feel. You understand what I'm saying? But we can definitely tell you how we feel.
Yeah, the men determine what the wall is for women because you guys are the ones that have access to marriage. So you guys are going to determine whether or not that wall has been hit. But we can tell you when you've hit the wall.
Now we
yes.
can go ahead and discuss until
Mhm.
the other guys get because we don't want to slow down anything waiting on people.
No,
But
yeah.
so some of the things we can break it down. So I think one of the things that Tam said, I think that was Tam who read it. One of the things that Tam said, I think he mentioned age, fertility. And the thing about 20 and 30, clearly he was not a black man because 20, 30 black women do not look like they've hit a wall at 20 or 30. That's just my opinion. You still look very youthful at 20 and 30.
Yeah, definitely as
I mean,
far
look
as
at the
looks
panel.
deteriorating.
Look at the
Right.
panel, prime example.
So my question is, now that we know the definition by this young man, which it seems to be the manosphere's definition as well, how do you feel about that?
So I'm gonna try to hit this from a couple different angles. I think that a lot of times that wall is based upon a woman's mentality, right? And when I say that, as in because it's not like I never met older women who been pushing that wall back for a very long time, and she's very desirable. But I think because of the mindset of a lot of women, and they start putting their standard on European standards, right? Because we know, black women are able to, they don't age as fast as European women do, right? So I think that we go by the numbers of Europeans instead of our own system and our own standards that we have. Because of the mentality, you start deteriorating because you start letting the outside. So you got to look at it like this: if you're a boat, the only way a boat sinks is when water gets in it. So if you let the outside noise and based upon what other people think or how they view you, you're allowing that to sink you, and then you really start deteriorating a lot faster than what you than you know, and you hit that wall faster. But if you allow yourself, if you thinking right, you eating right, and you operating under certain at your on an optimal level, I think that women can definitely push their wall back a lot further than what it is because typically, 30 is really young. That's not 30 years old. Like you still young. And I don't want us to get in that mentality thinking that 30 is old, but we do because of the women that becomes 30, they acting old. And when you acting old, your body start acting old. It starts all here in the mind. You understand what I'm saying? Because I travel a lot. And when I go to the Eastern world, they 30 is a baby. There's women who pushes their fertility back in mid 40s, late 40s, and they don't have the same complications as they do in the Western world, right? Because the mentality is a lot different. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, um, so like for me, I just think that y'all allow others to determine what y'all wall is, and y'all start acting accordingly based upon you hearing outside noise, and that's how you start sinking your mind or that boat into the waters of the outside world. You understand what I'm saying? If I you know could get my 2 cents onto that.
Yes, sure, absolutely.
So what you're saying is the mentality of the woman, in your opinion, is that that's what's going to determine whether she hits the wall or not.
Definitely.
Okay.
Well, one because even then, I mean, some women who look aesthetically good in their mid 30s, but the mentality is all messed up. Ain't no man wants to, and I think it's just not a physical thing. I think hitting the wall is all, like I said, a mental thing that no man wants to deal with that, right?
Mhm.
You like what man wants to deal with that? You acting old, being old, the whole 9 yards. No, he trying to live longer, just as much. He trying to live a little longer. He need youth. He need youth in his life a little bit. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, and you acting like you don't want to do nothing. You don't want to. Oh, I got this because we got babies. The whole 9 yards. Like when you act old, you hitting your wall faster.
Mhm.
So it kind of sounds to me like the wall is maybe defined relative to the man because your definition is different than the other guy's definition. And so it sounds almost like the wall is defined again relative to the man. So based on what he's looking for, and that woman would determine what he defines as a wall.